Howdy everyone. I'm going to stand back here and yell at you for a minute. I know the microphone on this camera kind of sucks when it's in this kind of an orientation, so I'm going to try to yell so hopefully you can hear me. Before I get into my next set of videos, I just wanted to give a shout out to Jeff. Jeff is also building an RV7, and obviously he's a visitor to my channel, and he was moved enough to make a donation to the cause, so to speak. So I just wanted to say hi to Jeff, and I wanted to thank you, sir, for the generous donation. I really do appreciate it. I don't ask for donations. That's not why I do this. The money has really nothing to do with it. I do it because I enjoy it, and I do it because I feel that I can fill a need for other people. But I really do appreciate it. If people out there are moved to the point where they feel they need to do so, I think it's great. And I make really good use of the funds. So it helps keep the videos coming. It helps with me making progress. You know, it is a little bit involved. It's a little bit annoying sometimes doing videos because I'll be in the middle of working on something. And you guys that are building, you know what that's like when you're really on board and you're trucking along and you're in a groove. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, hold on a second. This is exactly what people need to see. This is exactly what I need to explain and to show and to demonstrate for people. So let me stop what I'm doing, get out the camera, get out the tripod, set stuff up, narrate things, walk through things, pack it all in, go downstairs, upload the video, download the video, do the narration, add music, do the editing, whatever, you know. So when somebody wants to make a donation, I really appreciate the gesture because it does help me stay motivated, and I do want to continue to do this kind of stuff. So thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it, sir. And for everyone else out there, again, as always, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for checking out my channel. And come by often because I'm going to continue to do this for as long as this thing is under construction. So we'll keep at it, and eventually we'll get these things airborne. All right. Talk to you later. Howdy everyone. This will more than likely be a relatively short video because there's nothing too exciting to talk about. Again, it's just more of the same. It's just more looking through manuals and looking at wiring diagrams and figuring out how to get everything wired together without ruining something and having it work the way it's supposed to work. So the further I get into it, the more complicated it gets because the stuff that I'm starting to get into now is more of the actual components that are going to be, how can I say it? I'm getting more into the components that actually do the work, so to speak. So before I was basically just connecting power, which is, you know, basically power in, power out, right? So that was relatively straightforward, running power to the ethos, running power you know, to the lights, running power to the engine information system, putting in the backup battery, running the power from that to different things. But now I'm getting into more of an interfacing type of wiring. On the back of my GRT ethos, this piece here, this is the GRT Safe Fly GPS. And this little black box on top of that is my Echo UAT ADSB in and out. And I've been working on the interface wiring for these three items, getting those to talk to one another. Again, I don't know if I said this in a previous video, but whatever you purchase, I don't care if it's an ethos, an ADSB, a transponder, whatever, if they offer a wiring harness, I highly recommend purchasing it because the wiring harness will give you the wire, they'll give you the connectors, and more than likely one end of the wires will already have a connector pin on it. So you just have to cut the wire to length, figure where the other end is going to connect, cut it to length, put that connector or put that pin on it, and then ultimately put the other connector on that harness. So it does make life a little bit easier. There are some caveats to that because, you know, just as for instance, this GRT ethos, it comes with its wiring harness, and then say the GPS comes with its wiring harness. Well, you don't necessarily need two wiring harnesses, but you know, the GRT wire harness has wires for the GRT to plug into the GRT GPS, and then the GRT GPS wiring harness has wire to connect to the ethos. That's just an example. I don't know if that's true and accurate, but I've run into a couple of situations like that where I'll have two different harnesses, and each harness has a couple of wires on it to talk to one another. So on one of those harnesses, you have to either pull those pins out or splice the wires to one another, if that makes sense. So that's kind of what I'm getting into now. Like I said, is just the interfacing of the actual equipment that does the work and the programming of that equipment, because once you make the hard line connections, they still don't communicate with each other because they don't know that they're connected. So you have to go into, sometimes you have to go into each component, and this is where you get into the programming. You have to find the menu in the ethos to get you to where you need to be, which may take some research. Once you find your way down that path and you get to the programming part, that's where you start programming your serial ports in and out, and you start programming your baud rates. Sometimes you have to program in what I call the language. I don't really know everything there is to know about avionics, but there are different protocols. You know, there's RS-232, there's RS-485, I think, and then there's other things like a T-map, and there's other code things, you know, like just as a for instance, I'm starting to get into the programming here for my ADS-B. I'm just trying to look up some nomenclature real quick, just as an example of what I'm talking about here. And of course, I'm not going to find any. But anyway, it can get a little involved, and it does get very confusing, at least for me, because I've never done this before. So I'm really getting into the meat of things now, which is what I've been looking forward to. I've been looking forward to the actual programming and watching things basically come online one step at a time. So like I said, what I'm getting ready to do now is I've got the GPS unit up and running, and it's communicating with the ethos nicely. I've got the antenna connected, and I had that run. It's just sitting up on this piece of wood, but I had it ran all the way over to that window so we could see outside. And it picked up 7 satellites, and it's communicating with the ethos nicely. And when you power on the ethos and go through the different menus, the ethos is telling me that the communication link between the two is fine. So now I'm moving on to the Echo ADS-B, and this is a little bit of a different animal. This actually requires that you download an app, either from the Apple Store or Google Play. And on the what is it, the Avionics, is that right? Or the Avionics website? Yeah, the Avionics website. They have the manual that walks you through the process of downloading the app and then going through the process of doing the installation and then using that app remotely to program the ADS-B. So the ADS-B has its own Wi-Fi. You download the app from one of the 2 stores, and then I'm just using this on the laptop to go through the instructions, but I'm actually going to use my tablet. I downloaded the software last night onto the tablet. I'm going to have the tablet up and running to actually interface with the ADS-B Wi-Fi, and I'm just using the instructions on the website as a guide to go through that process. But you download the software onto your phone or your tablet, and then you use that software to hook up remotely through Wi-Fi to talk to the ADS-B, and then you do your initial programming that way. Once you have that initially set, the way that I understand it, then you can do the rest of it through the EFIS. But to get that initial setup, you have to do it through the Wi-Fi and a downloaded application. So that's what I'm getting ready to do now. And then after that, I think I'll have to install the transponder, because there's a lot of setup. It looks like there's some setup anyway between the ADSB and the transponder, and things of that nature. So like I said, still nothing too over the top exciting to talk about, but I am making progress, and I'm getting into the programming, which is probably going to slow down the overall progress a little bit, because the programming takes time, and I'm not doing any real installation. I'm just taking what I have connected and trying to get it to communicate. So that's about it for now. And as always, I appreciate you guys stopping in, and please keep the comments coming, keep the questions coming. I've got people that email me directly with questions, and if I can, I'll help you out. I have no problems helping out other people if I can, so feel free to contact me, and keep stopping in, and I'll keep cranking out videos. Until next time, talk to you later.